Hello everyone and welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best-of-5 series of Zerg versus Terran, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Babylon. Now spotting here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones and forced to deal with a Reaper, we're looking inside of the main base of Elazer. His opponent, the man who's very well known for his Reaper control, he's from France, he's considered to be the very best Terran from the European region. Alright, the Queen is gonna pop and eventually push this all back. He goes by the name of Clem. Apparently these two played an amazing best-of-5 during the ESL StarCraft 2 Masters Summer European Regionals. I think that's the full name of the tournament. I almost, I don't know, I'm like 80% sure that that is the full name of the event. Apparently these two played an amazing match. I haven't seen any of these games yet. I have no idea what goes down, but I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up happening. Both of these guys, of course, very good, but in my mind, especially in the Terran versus Zerg matchup, Clem is a little bit better, no? Right, am I mistaken? Clem, generally speaking, especially when he gets to play from the comfort of his own home, he looks almost unbeatable in Terran vs Zerg, and he regularly takes down guys like, for example, Raynor and Cyril, who I consider to be a little bit stronger, not by much, but a little bit stronger than Elazer for sure. Anyways, we're gonna find out together. Quick triple CC opener right here from Clem. He's opening up with a 1-1-1. This is the strategy I suspect we're gonna see basically every single time from... Okay, Reaper does eventually go down. This is the strategy I expect basically every single time from Clem. It's a solid overall build that doesn't really have any particular weaknesses, right? This is kind of like going, I don't know, a couple of depths into an Oracle against Zerg in the Protoss versus Zerg matchup. It's just comfortable, you don't really lose against anything dumb, and it really comes down to your own unit control and your own positioning. And if you execute it well, you can be in an amazing spot. One big advantage of opening up with the triple CC is that you don't actually have to deal economical damage to the Zerg. Obviously, it's nice to roast a bunch of those drones. If you open up with a straight 1-1-1 and then eventually like a third command center at about this point in the game, you kind of have to get some sort of damage done, even if it's just forcing out a lot of Zerglings. But with this particular opener, you don't really need to, and if you control it well, you scout well enough, you can indeed also shut down the majority of their roach base pushes, because you do indeed go for a couple of those Banshees. This is the style that Clem has been playing for a long time, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be doing it literally every single game. I don't know, we'll find out. His opponent in the meantime, also not really doing anything too spicy. That's about a 4.5 minute lair right over there. We'll see what sort of tech structure he decides to go for. It's gonna be a Baneling Nest. This is also what we consider to be a very normal build right here from Elazer. He's basically squeezing out as many drones as he possibly can, right? Making sure he doesn't take any damage, spreading as much creep as possible, getting a fourth base going, and he's gonna be able to finish up his Baneling speed upgrade at an appropriate time to be able to counter any big bio pushes from our Terran player. So, those big bio pushes, I mean, they're nowhere to be seen just yet, but they're coming. Interestingly enough, hello? He started up the +1 armor upgrade. Clem taking a page out of Bjorn's book. No, that's not what you want to do. You definitely want to be prioritizing the attack upgrade there. A little bit sloppy, either way. Shouldn't really make that big of a difference, but it certainly isn't what you want to see. Now this is nice, good zoning over here with those Banshees. Now the mineral line over here is in a bit of trouble. Luckily for Elazer, he did indeed connect the natural as well as the main base with creep, so the Zerglings can get here nice and quickly. Yeah, the question is almost how much, or it's always how much damage do you want to deal, right? How many drones do you need to kill in order to justify sending 6 Hellions to their grave? Is 8 workers enough? That little bit of lost mining time right there for the Zerg, does that justify it? I'm honestly not entirely sure. Like, that looked horrible right there for Mr. Elazer, but I actually think he handled that really nicely. At this point in the game, he can power out those workers quite well, and as long as he finishes up the Baneling speed in time, he should be a-okay. Now, the Baneling speed definitely is not on time, though. I'm fairly sure he could have started that up a little bit sooner. Now he's going into 1-1 here as well. And that may very well open up the opportunity right now for Clem to go for some aggression. Banshee's still alive as well. Where's that Overseer? Overseer all the way in the back. It is going to be available here momentarily. There's enough Lings available though for the time being. Okay, yeah. So this is actually kind of sloppy. I think there would have been an opportunity for Clem to potentially punish this Baneling speed situation. I mean, it's still going to finish up very soon. Yeah. Nah, I don't think he would have really been able to do that much, but he's supposed to have both of his infantry upgrades done at this point. Okay. Combat shields on the back of this too. Hydra then actually, nice and early here from Elazer. That's pretty interesting. Elazer, of course, does play that very European style of Zerg versus Terran. The creep spread, by the way, looking absolutely insane. This is another thing that happens, right? When you lose those Hellions, you're gonna have to replace your hit squads around the map with Marines instead. And apparently you give Elazer an inch, he's gonna grab the entire map. I don't think the map is a mile long, okay? But it's certainly a lot of space that he has already covered, especially in the bottom left-hand corner. Getting this creep towards this high ground, you can start, well, thinking about even blocking this base. Normally this expansion at the 6 o'clock position will be taken as the 5th. And I think by the time Clem is gonna, yeah, start trying to take that, there will be creep on that expansion if he doesn't shut down the spread on that side of the map. Curious to see if we're gonna see him do the same thing, Elazer that is, that we've been seeing Serral do, for example, where he goes Hydraling Bane first and then eventually Lurkers. For the longest time, we really only saw Hydralisk being played as a little baby Lurker, right? A unit that was kind of nice to have, I suppose, but you're really not bothered about the upgrades that much. You're really just making them to morph them into Lurkers, and I mean, this is very ambitious. There's no way this is gonna work. Yeah, he's actually making quite a few of them. Okay, at the same time, we do have a roll-by over here as well. Good pullback right there from Clem. Not losing that many of his SCVs, and at the same time, he's also cleaned up the Banelings here on the left. Okay. One problem right here for Elazer is that he did indeed delay his own upgrades. He's actually gonna go into the missile upgrade, so I do think he's planning on going into, well, Hydra Lurker here eventually, but we're certainly not there yet. So it looks to me like we're starting off this particular game with a nice little macro match. This particular series, that is. Widow Mines trying to burrow. Successfully burrowed. Good splits right there, though. It's a little slow. We're playing the little Widow Mine chicken game over here. Yeah. There's also a drop happening on the left side of the map. I'm a little slow on the observing today, apparently, guys. Oh. Alright. Could have been a disaster. Pretty good, but we definitely do need some detection in this area. Banshee's over here now idling in this spot. Okay, there comes the Overseer. I don't think it would be a luxury at this point in the game to go for the Overlord speed upgrade. Because getting the observers, or I guess the detectors right here, the Overseers in place at the right time, I think will be very nice. A couple Zerglings here end up dying. That's because we're engaging right here on the left side of the map as well. Mostly just a distraction to try and keep that Terran army at bay, but for the time being, yep, once again, good control right here by Clem. Hydra range is going to finish up. We don't actually have a hive yet, which surprises me a bit. Considering Elazer has essentially had his side of the map under control for as long as he wanted to, he could have really been up to like 90 plus workers here. I would say at least 85. So I'm inclined to imagine he believes he can try and win this game over the next couple of minutes. But honestly, I'm not exactly sure how we would actually pull that off. Like, sticking around on Lair Tech for this long, going into the missile upgrade, I feel like, well, I mean, he's probably gonna try and see if he can go for a winning attack here very soon. Overseer, once again, not close enough, so we're not gonna be able to shut down this army or this Widowmine force here very easily. There's not that much available, though, but at this point, there are a lot of command centers ready to replace the one that will go down here at the 4th base location. Big attack coming out of the Polish Zerg player. 27 SCVs just went down. The Terran is forced to pick up and evacuate on out of there, and that is actually a really neat little attack there from Elazer. Basically just spending as much money as he could have on upgrades, attacking right when those upgrades finished up, and apparently catching Clem off guard while he was in the middle of that ghost transition. Okay, so that's actually kind of cool. We don't normally see this particular attack. It's good, of course, on a map like this. Quite an exposed and open base here. Clem does end up shutting down a lot of that Zerg army right there in the end, though. The majority of the Hydras, at the very least, get to live, but I feel like the base in the bottom left-hand corner would be significantly easier to control than this one right here from Elazer, but regardless, Elazer decides to expand in the direction of his neighbor. Clem has fired up the +3 upgrade. It's not done yet, but Elazer is not going to be able to start that up until he finishes a hive. That's a kill right there, so those minerals are down the drain. Nowhere to be seen ever again. I actually like the transition right now as well from Clem, going into, well, a bunch of siege tanks, while still actually producing Widow Mines as well. So, normally we see a choice from Terran players, either Widow Mines or siege tanks. Clem decides to go for both here, which is a really cute move. Clem apparently also anticipating the base here in the bottom left-hand corner, by the way. He sent a group of medevacs in this direction. Looks like at the same time we did have a fight over here up north. The majority of those splash damage units here from the Terran have been cleared out. Okay, he's gonna pick up and get on out of there. And this is why I love watching Terran versus Zerg, though. It is very much so a matchup of mechanics, right? So, honestly, I know some of you will absolutely disagree with this. Okay, well, I don't know what we're looking for. Really? Come on, man! Alright, anyways, in this matchup, faster is better. The more actions per minute you have, well, assuming you don't waste that many of them anyways, the better you will succeed. Clem is considered to be one of the fastest, if not the fastest player in the entire world. This guy is incredibly quick. It's either him or Raynor in my mind. Oh, that Overseer actually dealing a bunch of friendly fire right there, because the Widow Mine decided to detonate on top of it. Okay, he's sniping Banelings now. That's when we're getting a little bit brave, I suppose. Anyways, this is very much so a game of who can execute things faster and more accurately. Elazer has decided to stick around on Hydraling Bane. He's got +2, +2, +2 done. So he's got all of the upgrades done, but no hive anywhere to be seen. So he's basically saying, yo, I am ready. I'm assuming he's going to transition here eventually towards, well, 3-3 upgrades at the minimum. But he's basically saying, yo, I am planning on winning the game in the next couple of minutes, because if you finish your 3-3 research, which, well, Clem just did for the infantry weapons already, I am gonna be in a lot of trouble because your units are just simply gonna deal more damage. Here we go again, an attack right over here at that newly acquired 4th base. More and more SCVs end up going down. Planetary Fortress numero 2 ends up going down too. Nicely done here by Elazer. Really setting the tone for this series. That's cool. I haven't seen as many Elazer games lately as well, we have a drone drop over here too, apparently. A bunch of workers have gone down. The hatchery may very well fall. I haven't seen as many Elazer games lately compared to, for example, Serral. Serral would definitely be sitting at Hive Tech right now with both Vipers as well as Lurkers, but Elazer is saying, yo, I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna stick around on what is considered to be a mid-tech army, and I'm just gonna overwhelm my opponent with it. You know what? We're now getting to the point where Clem is actually running dry on money. Clem was starting up the Ghost transition, he was adding on all those command centers, he'll try and make this base once again, but it's getting pretty pricey for him now. The main base, 15 minutes in, I mean, look at what remains, 100 minerals. The natural expansion, same deal. Maybe not quite as extreme, but yeah, no, maybe 5 times as much, right? Like there's a few hundred resources remaining on 2 mineral fields. 3rd base, also running dry. That's the downside of the mule. Mules are absolutely amazing in every way. They mine resources very quickly, but they also mine resources very quickly. So that was very descriptive. Great commentary right there from me. But you get what I'm trying to say, right? Anyways, here we go once again. Clem right now needs to keep that base alive really desperately. Elazer's strategy is to try and prevent the opponent from ever getting that done. Now the upgrades though have kicked in. Yeah, I mean, not all of them yet, but you can definitely notice that Clem's units are starting to, well, dish out more damage. And very soon, we're not only just going to have the armor upgrade done, we're also going to have, well, the armor upgrade done for the Widow Mines, the siege tanks, that sort of thing. It's going to make this entire Terran army significantly beefier, whereas Elazer's damage output has not been improved here in quite a while. I tend to hammer a lot on upgrades, okay? But upgrades in StarCraft 2, absolutely humongous. Like, imagine every single one of those Marines, right? We have so many of them. There's 20 right now, but we've had a Bailings! Oh, there you go. He was waiting for the juicier target, apparently. We've had 145. Every single one of those dealing 1 additional damage every time it attacks. It adds up very quickly. And now every single one of those Marines having 1 additional armor, that means they're taking 1 less damage from Zerglings. There's a lot of Zerglings. Those units attack very quickly, but obviously every single one of those attacks is gonna, well, dish less damage than it used to. I sometimes catch myself talking about upgrades for like half the game, it seems, and I've been watching a lot of Formula 1 over the last years, and I really despise it when the commentators just keep talking about tires. And it occurred to me the other day that StarCraft 2 upgrades may very well be the tires of the Formula 1, you know? It's like, sure, yes, it's important, Loko, jeez, but just shut up about it. We understand it by now. It's like, will they be switching to what? I really don't like it, man. The Dutch commentators for the Formula 1, my god, those guys, they love tires. They love tires more than the Formula 1 cars themselves. It's insane. Anyways, that base once again ended up going down there. We have Bailing landmines over here on the left side of the map too. Elazer saying, yo, please feel welcomed in my newly acquired base. I really love this style, actually, that Elazer is going for. He definitely needs to, well, I think hotkey that base and get a couple creep tumor, or sorry, a couple queens going here so he can get some more injections off. Yeah, this base is actually not hotkeyed. So that actually kind of sucks for him, but eventually he does get his money down. I'm getting very concerned right here for Clem. Elazer is playing a fantastic, albeit a little bit of an unorthodox game number 1. Bailings still over here. I think only a single one. I'm actually gonna back off. Hold up, what just happened here? No, okay. I actually thought he may have detonated just a single one there, but okay, yeah, no, he did. Okay, he did. I thought it was actually one in the front, but apparently not the case. Cute little move here. I actually really like the usage, though, of those burrowed banelings. We don't see burrowed baneling play very often in StarCraft 2, but it's a no-brainer, right? Like, when you think about it, burrow is 100 minerals, 100 gas. It's a very cheap research. You can get it at Hatchery Tech. You can technically get it as your first upgrade, I guess, although I would favor Link Speed. But seriously, it is, when you think about it, in theory, oh my god, it's a no-brainer. It's just that you also need to manually detonate them. Come on, come on, come on! Hey, there we go. And this is starting to hurt. Clem has secured this base once again. That's his old main orbital command. 16 SCVs desperately trying to mine out the last few mineral fields. Even on that base, though, Clem is starting to run low. He's been forced to retake it many times, and I think Elazer is starting to break through this position as well. That being said, if you look at the supply counts right now, yeah, it's still not that bad right here for the Frenchman. He just needs to be... No, don't push up that ramp, Elazer. I think it's very tempting here to try and push up that ramp. Yeah, you need to fight this Terran army out in the open. So, by the way, Ghosts, good here, but they're more or less like an advanced Marine in this army, right? Like, they're not really sniping any units. They're not really EMPing any of those spellcasters, because we don't have Lurkers. I mean, you can snipe Hydras and Banes, I suppose, sort of, but not really worth it. He did secure his base over here as well, by the way, which is a little bit cheeky. I think Elazer really should have tried to shut this down ages ago. If Elazer ends up losing this game, I think it's because of this base. Yeah, he really needs to try and shut down, well, as much of this as possible. Clem has actually found a bit of a lifeline. And I don't think he was really supposed to. This is Clem crossing his fingers and hoping that his opponent isn't going to attack him in multiple angles at once. In the same moment, though, we do have that army here moving in the bottom left-hand corner. Banelings do detonate there eventually once again. We do have Zerg breaking through at least this mineral line here, but... well, there weren't that many SCVs there in the first place. This really is bringing in a lot of income right now. Yeah, look at that income advantage. Actually, no, that's for... I was gonna say, that makes no sense. No. Look at that. Well, look at that income advantage, guys. It's heavily in favor of Elazer. This is the cleanest commentary of a game of StarCraft 2 that I've ever done. Yeah. Absolute best. Smash like and subscribe, guys. I used to think people didn't like it when I messed up in commentaries, actually. As a matter of fact, I used to reshoot videos sometimes when I was at like the 4-minute mark of a cast. I'm like, okay, this has been an absolute disaster. People don't want to listen to me make mistakes, right? And it turns out a live blooper reel may actually be exactly what the majority of people are looking for. I love watching bloopers. We're doing them live over here on this channel. Okay, once again though. Yep, Elazer is overwhelming the right side of the map, and I think this may very well be the nail in the coffin, at least as far as that side of the map goes. Clem, not really able to deal with this army anymore though. He's losing so much, but he is securing a new base over here in the meantime. He's trying to get some more Marauders into the mix to try and soak up those Banelings. You know what? This is good for Elazer, yes. But is it game winning? Maybe. These rocks really need to be down, man, so we can actually try and escape on out of here if we want to. Okay, we decide to take the long route. That does mean that finally those ghosts managed to line up their sniper rifles. I would love to see a scan over here, Clem. He doesn't have the energy for it right now. He's coming up on 50 here very soon, and finally that means he can land that orbital command. Clem did end up losing supply depots in the natural. So he needs to remake some of that, but in the meantime he's also setting up a bit of a wall over here. Okay. Clem's been hanging on by the skin of his teeth for a long time, but it turns out he's got very long teeth. He's got very strong teeth. Maybe that's a better way to describe it. The man's like a rabbit at this point, okay? Long teeth, long ears, very strong as well. Are his teeth strong enough though? That's the question. And the answer is no. No, sorry. Turns out Clem may be the one with a sniper rival army, but I think Elazer may just be able to snipe him as well from a distance. 36 additional workers end up falling here. Game 2. We find ourselves on Ancient Cistern. Very cool style right there from Elazer though, right? He is the Swarm. He is unending, right? Whatever Kerrigan's quote is, I'm not exactly sure, but quite literally just sticking around on relatively low tier units and trying to overwhelm the opponent in the course of like, what, 22 minutes? Pretty nuts, actually. Not something we normally see. Okay, here we start the dance once again. Here's Brenda. Brenda shot one spine and instantly injected within the same game tick. Insane, dude. What a legend. Okay, anyways. Third base is already up, so I'm not exactly sure where that, yeah, what the dance right there was really for. I mean, eventually he did get an expansion going there too. Third command center once again goes down. I'm assuming this will be a starport opener. Yep, we'll probably see a tech lab, we'll see Hellions, we see Banshees. This is what Clem's been doing for a long time. Factory, by the way, nice little touch right there. Rallied on top of the Reaper. So as soon as these Hellions pop out of their factory, they can join the Reaper. They can join the harassment squad. Reaper has to go home though. Yeah. 3.5 minutes into the game, link speed is gonna finish up with this particular third base timing. So I think Clem is, I don't think you want to lose the Reaper. That would kind of suck. Okay. No tech lab. Maybe a Liberator. Straight Liberator? Yeah, this used to be very popular. Clem was actually one of the very best players in the world when it came to Liberator harassment. I know that sounds kind of funny, but honestly, the majority of even like the top level guys, what they do is they have a Liberator and then they shift queue it around the map and they shift queue the siege up. And that's about it. They may unsiege it once or twice, but Clem, I mean, when this was popular, when this was meta, we see it every once in a while right now, but Clem would definitely harass the opponent and then he would fly the Liberator back home to repair it and then go out to harass some more. Once again, it's just an APM limitation. And some people don't really like that, right? Where faster equals better, because I guess it promotes some unhealthy gameplay mechanics and habits. But yeah, it's pretty fun to see, man. I think a lot of people hit a natural wall when it comes to actions per minute. You can definitely train it. So I've been playing StarCraft 2 for about 13 years. I've never reliably been able to go... Like, it seems like my max is like... Well, I've had games where I've had like 400 APM, but My absolute max is probably like 350 when I was, you know, at my strongest. Right now it's probably closer to like 300. And you can train it, but there is definitely a natural limit. And with StarCraft 2, yeah, faster, being in more places at once, controlling more things at once, it does tend to be a priority and an advantage. Okay, so here comes the lip. How many drones is he gonna be able to pwn? Pawning the lips is something, well, here's what I was... I guess that was intentional. Actually, you know what? Here I was talking about Clem's amazing Liberator control. I think he actually did that on purpose. He saw the amount of drones he could get, he saw the amount of queens occupied, so he figured he couldn't get out, so he didn't unsiege, because he didn't have the units selected. This was also an excellent engagement right here, though, for Elazer. Sorry, Mr. Hellion. Harold the Hellion. I don't have a name for the Hellion, actually. Otto the Overlord, Jimmy the Marine, Harold the Hellion. I don't know why Harold was the name that came up. I needed a name with an H. I could have gone with Henry. Could have gone with many. Anyways. Yeah, I don't think that trait was particularly useful right here, because now we're talking, look at this. Elazer double expending. He's like, yep, don't mind if I do. Now we know for a fact here that Terran's not going to be able to do much until most of these upgrades are done. Now, there will be a big power spike. +1/+1 is going to finish up. Stimpack is already finished. We've got ourselves the tech lab over here, I suppose. That we already stimped these Marines once. Maybe not quite ideal, but anyhow. For the time being, Elazer doesn't really have to worry about much. Maybe a medevac drop is the worst that he's got to deal with. So look at him, making 3 hatcheries. This guy is out here balling right now, man. He's going to the Louis Vuitton store and just pointing at things that he wants. He wants a hatchery and another hatchery and then another hatchery and 17 creep tumors. +1/+1 upgrades. He might consider making a Hydra den again. That's the main issue when you end up losing your harassment squads. Sure, even if you deal a bunch of damage. I mean, he killed 29 Zerglings, 5 drones. That's nice and all, but you essentially let your foot off the gas, right? You're just sort of coasting, and you're just hoping that your opponent is... yeah, not gonna play too greedy. I actually think Elazer could have gone straight up to like 90 workers here. Elazer playing it very safe. Yeah. Decided to stick around on only 70-something drones here, making some army in the meantime too. Once again, by the way, I really want to compliment Elazer's creep spread over here. It's excellent. Really good work. Genuinely impressed. For a while there, before Raynor really came up, Elazer was considered to be, like, together with Lambo, it was kind of difficult to say who was, like, the second best Zerg in Europe, but... Elazer, yeah, he's been good for many years, but... somehow it always feels to me like he doesn't get as much love as he probably... well, maybe not love, maybe that's not the right word, but as much, yeah, popularity as he probably deserves, because the man really is good when he is on point. That's also, I guess, a thing, right? Consistency is something that StarCraft fans very much so, maybe accidentally, but very much so reward. One of the reasons why a lot of Bjorn fans are out there is because Bjorn has been stupid good for a stupid long time. Same for Maru, same for Serral, same for Hero, same for a lot of other guys, right? When you're a little bit inconsistent and you don't always make it to, like, the top 8 of an event, right? Which sounds insane, because the other top 8 players are insanely good. But when you don't consistently make it every single time, players are pretty quick to forget you. Anyways, happy to see Elazer performing very well here. Look at the creep spread already here, man. Okay, so we're once again arriving at a very similar situation. +2 armor with +1 missile, no hive underway. Hydraling Bane only. It really does look like a Brood War army, right? Well, minus maybe the main links. Once again, burrowed Banes all over the map. Burrowed Banes are actually so good, man. Makes you wonder why we don't actually see it more often. Like, there are gonna be embarrassing moments where you could have had the entire opponent army, but you didn't see, right? Which is fair enough, I guess. Those moments will occur. Now, these traits are all really quite nice, though, for Clem. But I do think it's still worth it. It's once again an APM limitation. If you're a perfect player... Oh my god, all of these fights are amazing, though, for Clem. Yeah, other Terran players would have already picked up and gotten out of there. But Clem just sort of looks at it, he's like, you know what? I can just stand my ground. Maybe even target fire down a couple banelings, and then eventually I'll get out. Just have to be careful you don't accidentally boost your medevac over a group of Hydras. But as long as you've got, like, a decent amount of vision and you understand how the opponent's army moves around, I don't mind it. Plus, when you have burrowed Zerglings everywhere, you can detect where the opponent is currently located, right? So, looks like we once again had a detonation there. It's kind of difficult, I guess, for an observer to keep track of all of the banelings as well. But anyways, this little Zergling over here, out there in the middle of nowhere, but it sees these incoming armies. Despite the fact that we don't have creep, you do get more vision. Okay, this Widowmine could be big. Yep. Yep. Oh, no. Clem could have probably retargeted that if he really wanted to, but obviously that would also take a little bit of time. Ghost Academy, coming up. One problem we saw in the previous game was Clem transitioning a little bit too quickly towards late game. And once again, we have the command center explosion coming up. Or as Clem calls it, le expansion de command... le explosion de command center. Something like that. I don't know what a command center is called in the French version of the game. Command centre. Something like that, I'm sure. Centre de command. So here we go again. We have +2, +1 here, man. Yeah, so +2 armor, +1 on the Hydras, +1 melee as well. And this attack, it hits like a truck. So Elazer comes across the map. Very similar attack as we saw in the previous game on Babylon. Essentially identical. Then he was heading towards the 4th base of his opponent. Now he's going for the throat! Oh my god, Clem just sits on the ramp and stims. Lovely work. That siege tank here in the back getting a ton of work done. Loads of SCVs are starting to fall. Have we really done enough damage though? I think he needs to go for this mineral line too. Yeah, there's a lot of expansions now available. All of these SCVs dying, I mean, pretty rough, of course, for Clem. Especially if you were one of those SCVs, that would kind of suck for you, but he's got a lot of orbital commands here. He can drop mules, like no tomorrow. I think this actually is a little bit better than in the previous game. Mostly because of the point of attack, though. Okay, yeah. No, Elazer is gonna just go and rinse and repeat. He's got a lot of money in the bank. He doesn't, well, just remax here. I really think he should remax. He's making more and more Zerglings here, but he's got a lot of money in the bank. Imagine right now if all of this was spent on like an additional, what, 20, 15 Hydras? That may honestly be a game-winning attack. I actually think Elazer may be onto something with this particular push. Yeah, he missed macroed here. He's got larva, but I think maybe one of his hatcheries or something here went wrong. He must have missed one round of Queen Inject. StarCraft 2 is that brutal of a game. Yep, okay, no. So now Clem is going to be able to at least try and stabilize. Second factory here is done. Well, it was already done some time ago, but he's going to make some add-ons again. Okay, banelings over here do connect. We have a big wraparound over here as well. Elazer coming back in for more. And despite the fact that I do think he was supposed to win this a minute or two ago, Elazer just continues the assault. And he now leads the series 2-0. Next up, we find ourselves on Gresven. That is one hell of an attack from Elazer, though. Yeah, I think Elazer may have found a way to shut down Terran players that are a little bit too eager to transition towards that mass command center, mass orbital command, mass ghost, mass Thor, and siege tank. The guys that are a little bit too keen to go to the late game. Very cool. I'm excited to go on the ladder and give this a try myself, I'm not gonna lie. One problem I've personally always had in StarCraft 2 is the late game unit control. Especially from Zerg's point of view. There is a moment where you basically, like, okay, I'll be the first to admit that Zerg players in general, they don't micro as hard as Terran and Protoss, okay? So Zerg in the early game, I mean, it's mostly just about setting up your surrounds and making sure your queens are in the right place. Zerg in the mid game, okay, maybe a little bit more micro, right? Some splits here and there. But then suddenly, when you get to the extreme late game, you're expected to be able to micro, well, Vipers, Infestors, Queens, so all 3 of your spellcasters, while simultaneously also controlling all of your rest of your army. I have never been good at any of that. So, if Elazer finds success against Clem, going for a mid-game timing attack, and I'm the one struggling against, well, turtling Terran players in the late game, this may very well be something I can incorporate in my own gameplay, right? Anyways, once again, 1-1-1 opener right here from Clem. Quick triple hatch as well here from our Zerg. We've got ourselves a Banshee coming up. Basically, these guys are executing the same game several times in a row. Then again, though, these guys are on a razor's edge the entire time. You lose your Hellions, bam, you can't expand. You don't pay special control right there to those Hellions, bam, you lose your drones. They're very good at it, but anybody who's ever played a game of StarCraft 2 knows that this phase in the game is actually very delicate. That's a good word for it. Delicate. Good job, brain. It's the first time I think I've ever used the word delicate in in a StarCraft commentary. Expanding my vocabulary on accident. Sometimes by making up my own words. Are there words that you think should be used in StarCraft casts more frequently? Let me know down below in the comment section. As somebody who's learned English over the years, there must be words that I could very easily incorporate into my cast that I don't use. Always trying to improve. Let me know. Cloak Banshee running around with wings. Getting 1 kill here. Nothing really to write home about. The creep spread is looking humongous though. I would like to see Elazer play a late game. I mean, he clearly has found something that works really well and that can almost prevent him from going to the late game, but yeah, I would really like to see a little bit of late game play. I think that would be a lot of fun. Curious to see where he's at right now, because honestly, he seems monstrous right now in the early and then the endless mid game. He didn't really ever transition towards late game. He just was, you know, the game 1 was 22 minutes of mid game basically. Alright, so Clem doing the same thing as he was doing in the previous games. I mean, the Banshees are definitely getting a good bit of work done this time around. Yeah, there you go. Oh my god. Clem's so good with that, man. Still has the Hellions around. I would much prefer it if he doesn't throw those away at some point. Really try and contain that creep spread, because I really think that was one of the reasons why Elazer's mid game was so oppressive in the last couple of games we saw. So yeah, keeping the Hellions around for a little while longer and just, yeah, trying to roast whatever creep tumor, at the very least not allowing the Zerg to spread them as fast or as far, is super nice. So now we have, yeah, this Terran army joining in. It doesn't have 1-1 yet, but now we've got the Hellions still around as well. I actually do think that's really quite nice. Scan? Hello? No scan? Okay. That surprised me a little bit. Bailing speed is done at this point. Oh, interesting little engagement right there from Clem, though. It almost seemed like a misplay, but maybe he knew that his opponent would be a little bit scared at this point in the game and he would be playing this passively, because that fight could have very well occurred without his upgrades. Without his fresh set of tires. Okay, I'll shut up about the upgrades. Balinks coming in from the side. Classic attack, of course, here from Elazer. We see this every single time. There's a bit of an anti-timing, though. Because, yeah, those units usually try to connect. Ooh. These units usually try to connect with a mineral line as soon as Baling speed finished up. Not in this particular case. So, Elazer is going to finish droning. He's going to sit at about 85 of them. Hydrodan is coming up. 1-1 research is coming up. I think he's going to go +1/+2 here in a moment. And then we'll see how it goes. Anyways, armory at this point is done too. And this is a pretty scary attack right here from Clem. Yeah, that grenade didn't really help him out all too much. Widowmine's trying its very best, or their very best, to deal some damage. Little clumps of units though, wonderfully defended right there by Elazer. At the same time, we do have another hit squad over here up north. Getting rid of those creep tumors. Nicely done right there. Yeah, the creep has been contained a lot better so far, but Elazer still spreading it around. Love the Overlord position there as well, so you can actually continuously move it forward. Yep, there's the +1/+2 once again fired up. A little bit of a misplay right there from Clem. Ends up losing those units because he was also microing over here in the center of the map. Planetary Fortress coming up. Clem going for the forward one. Securing this base can be hard. But the advantage of taking this base over the one over here that's a little bit more, yeah, defendable, I suppose, is that once you get this one up and running, this base, and the one even down south of it, they become a breeze to acquire. Okay. Not a whole lot of Ling counterattacks, by the way, as well, right? From Zerg. Elazer literally just using, well, now he's sending a big chunk of units around, but really just using the majority of his army to defend these big attacks. Maybe he's gonna need his entire army as well, though, because this is a Terran army that is looking pretty scary. Banelings ready to roll by once again. Another command center does get fired up. Careful this time around, Mr. Clem, that you don't get carried away, making additional CCs before you can really make use of them. Elazer is definitely gonna go for the same attack again. Yeah, has to be. Getting both of the Hydra upgrades. Let's see if Clem has an answer this time. Oh, okay. Widowmine drop. I ended up missing that one just barely on the camera, but basically what we had is a medevac, bzzzt, and then it dropped those units off. A little bit of a carpet bomb right there from Clem. Or as he calls it. Une bombe de carpet. I don't know. I've got nothing. My French could use a little bit of an improvement. Let's leave it at that. This choke point over here is so scary, though. I've seen so many Zerg units go down over in this area already. Yeah, look at that. Oh my god. The cost efficiency here from Clement has been insane. This map is hard, though, for Zerg. I don't think I like this map very much. I mean, you're gonna have to play it in a best-of-5 because there are worse maps out there, but it's not an easy map for the Zerg for sure. Big counterattack, but Terran also seems to be on top of that one. Yeah, he's actually just stimming his main army back home. Nicely done right here by Clem. Sees the burrowed Banelings too. That's a trick that Elazer has been trying to pull off on his opponent several times already throughout this series. Now we're fighting off creep, though. Yeah, chasing a Terran army off creep, not a huge fan of it. A drone somehow, some way, made its way into this control group, too. Here's +2/+2 starting up as well for the Zerg player, who's thinking about going for an attack. 3-3, though, nice and early this time around from Clem. And that is a nice change here that we're seeing as well from Clem. Okay. Yeah, so we do have a Ghost Academy, but he's not actually transitioning towards Ghost just yet. I think he's looking for confirmation, okay? Maybe he'll add on a couple here in a moment, but I think he's looking for confirmation that it's a unit that he actually needs. Because against Hydraling Bane, that's like the Zerg's main counter to Ghost-based armies. Right? So say you have an army with 20 Ghosts in them, Hydraling Bane is going to be the go-to. And I think sticking around on, yeah, Marine Marauder Medevac, mine, any unit that starts with the letter M, great suggestion. If I may say so about my own suggestion. No, I mean just in general, I think that's a great idea. Here's another Widowmine drop. Pew. Pew, pew. 5 SCVs go down in the meantime as well. Yeah, so this base, I mean, it is technically harassable, but I think if we're gonna have this map in the map pool for another half year or so... Oh, this is a really good catch, though, for Clem. If he can snipe those Banes, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think if we're gonna have this map around for another half year or so, a lot of Zerg players are gonna start vetoing it, even in a best-of-5. Maybe not, but it does feel... like Terrans have really figured out how to play this. There we have some Ghosts. Sniping whatever they can. Oh, a lot of friendly fire there as well from that Widowmine. That's not what you want to see. Unless you're a Zerg player. Then maybe you do. Okay. Good aggression here once again. So all of the upgrades right now that Elazer was looking for are finished up. But look at his army, right? This is when he was going for a 200-200 attack in the previous games. This is when he was going for a 200-200 push, but he doesn't have the army for it. Yeah, the traits have been phenomenal here from the Frenchman. Look at that. Pretty much 50%. Clem forced to play the micro game. It's a difficult game to play. But honestly, on the European server, when it comes to Terran, I don't think there's anybody better at it than him. By the way, this might be kind of a fun thing to note, assuming I have time to talk about it. Is he gonna actually push? Okay. I'll try and keep it in mind for the next game, because I think this one is about to be over. I just don't see how Elazer is gonna be able to... I mean, he can try, but yeah, this is just such a menacing Terran army. I actually like the addition of a couple of ghosts here, yeah. You don't want to get carried away, make too many of them. I actually think making that many at once might be a bit much, but just having some snipes, forcing those mistakes, really powerful stuff right here from Clem. Dragon skills, map number 4. One thing that was kind of cool about a week ago, I actually just confirmed it. Apparently Clem has since dropped down a little bit again, but anyways. A couple of days ago, I should have recorded this video earlier. Clem was sitting at 6,700 MMR with his Protoss, a little bit over that. I think he went up to like 6,750, which meant that he was the second highest ranked Protoss player on the European server. He was higher MMR than Showtime, than Astrea, Skillis, Harstem, Christianer, Mana, Gung Fu Ban, like all of those other European names that you've heard of many times. Clem's Protoss apparently was higher ranked than, you know, his off race was higher ranked than their main race, which is pretty mental. I reached out to him and asked if he had any replays to share, but he hasn't sent me anything yet. If he decides to send me a replay, I'm definitely gonna go ahead and have a look. So if you're interested in that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. I try to post new videos usually about 6 days a week, sometimes 7, very rarely, sometimes 5. Anyways, guess what, guys? It's a triple CC opener with a starport, and I'm assuming a tech lab here, and then we're gonna go and do the switcheroo. We're gonna see some Banshees. Yeah. Hellions and Banshees. And Zerg, okay, I gotta make a bold prediction here. I think Elazer is gonna make a lair about 4:30. Then he's gonna make a Baneling Nest a little bit later. Then he's gonna start Baneling Speed. He's gonna make a 4th base. He's gonna go 1-1 upgrades, and then he's gonna go Hydra Den. I think that's the truth. He could definitely go for a Roach attack. I wouldn't mind seeing it. But the thing is, yeah, Clem once again going for a Banshee play, right? Clem has dotted his I's, crossed his T's there. I was gonna say he's dotted his T's, but you get an entirely different letter. Suddenly you're speaking Elvish. He's dotting his T's and crossing his I's. Mr. Tolkien would be proud. Alright, so Stimpack will be coming up here momentarily, I'm sure. And then we're gonna go and add on some additional barracks. Yeah, Clem not really the type of guy who will play mech either. Both of these guys are very much so the players that will have a strategy they like, a strategy they find a lot of success with, and then they will execute it over and over and over and over again. And to be fair, that previous game was... It was, like, macro-wise, it was fine for me, Elazer. It's just that the micro on that particular map is very hard for the Zerg. And yeah, he just didn't get the traits he was looking for. So I don't think it was the strategy's fault necessarily. It's just very well played right there by Clem. Plus that map does seem to favor his playstyle a little bit as well. Dragon skills, though? I feel like this is a good map for Hydroling Bane. So I do suspect we're going to see the exact same thing once again. Clem doing 4 additional barracks, though. That is interesting. He is going straight towards mass marine production. I wasn't paying exact attention to where, or to when rather, he was adding on those barracks number 4 and 5 in the previous game. But this certainly is quick. He may very well go for an all-out assault as soon as all of those upgrades of his finish up. He's gonna be able to power out a lot of Marines. Queen's forced to transfuse themselves here for a bit. There's the detection, but already quite a few of the Queens have gone down. Only a single Hellion. Lovely work right there from the Frenchman. Okay. We are gonna go reactors on them as well. So yeah, we're gonna have an awful lot of Marines hitting the battlefield here shortly. Another reverse sweep, by the way? Would that be possible? The problem here with Elazer strat is that he's now shown it 3 times in a row. And while maybe Clem was like, ooh, I'm not entirely sure what to do with it, he's had some practice against it now, right? And when you're playing a best-of-5 series, I don't think it's ideal to play the same strategy over and over and over again. Even though this is by no means a crazy build that Elazer is necessarily going for, right? Like, it's not something that is incredibly out there. And this is a strategy where you can most definitely micro your way to success. It's gonna be difficult, I think, to win 3 games in a row against Clem, right? Maybe against people of a slightly lower caliber that can work out, but Clem already seemed to handle it significantly better on Gresvin. Not being as aggressive, by the way, with his harassment squad, which I really do like to see. Banshees are still around as well. Yep, so that's good for the Banelings. A couple drones over here do get roasted up north, but mostly just, you know, pawing at his opponent here, not really trying. I think keeping all of those units alive is very nice. Overlord speed a little bit quicker this time around. No Hydra done yet. Okay, Queens do transfuse, and we're gonna boost into the main base. Small, this is one of the advantages, right, of keeping those Hellions around. Otherwise, the entire Zerg army would be chasing this. And right now, it's actually kind of difficult. He needs to control all of this. Hellbats decide to try and roll a couple of Banelings into themselves, I guess. Yeah, mission successful. I mean, that's better than trading it against mineral-only units, though. Yeah, I actually think that was a fine trade right there for those Hellions. A lot better, at least, than just running them into a mineral line. I think any gas reduction out of the Zerg here is good for the Terran. Okay. Barracks number 6, 7, and 8 coming up. +2 has been fired up as well. Please don't forget about the +2 armor. We will probably start that up right... Well, not yet. Right... now. Okay, I should have said it a little bit sooner. Now it seemed fake. I could edit it out, though. I could edit it to make me sound really smart, but I won't do it, okay? Okay, these Banshees still being super obnoxious, though. Yeah. Clem is looking a lot more rigid against this now. Lovely work. Here comes the Marine squad once again. Elazer forgetting his +2 carapace. Or maybe just prioritizing Hydras here because he needs units. But his push definitely does pivot on those upgrades, though. Nice work. Very nice work right there by Clem. These Widowmine pushes are so obnoxious, man. So he's making Widowmines into somebody who knows is gonna be playing Hydras. That is really interesting to me. Like, normally, against Straightling Bane, Widowmine's excellent choice. However, if you know your opponent is going to be going Hydras, and Hydras with range, they outrange those Widowmines, you would imagine you focus on siege tanks instead. Apparently, though, not Clement. There's the command centers coming up. Ghost Academy. Nowhere to be seen yet. Unless I'm blind. No, it's coming up at the same time. Okay, that one's on the production tab right now too. So the +2 armor, by the way, did start up for the Zerg, but now everything's sort of out of whack. I wouldn't even mind seeing a 3rd evolution chamber here added into the mix for Elazer. But Elazer doesn't have the gas in this particular game. I think he may have forgotten 1 additional gas. I didn't count the amount of extractors he had in the previous games, but he doesn't seem to be able to afford his army and upgrades all at the same time. Like, he's supposed to fire up +2/+2 right now. He needs like 500 gas in the bank. He is not even remotely close to that. Maybe forced to make more banelings than he ordinarily does with this strategy, but I think he should be a bit more flexible and then also get that, you know, that extra gas going. If he waits too long with firing up the upgrades, he is gonna do the exact same push that he's been doing every game so far into a Terran player who has finished +3. And that fight looks entirely different. It will look entirely different, assuming Clem finishes up 3-3 here. Nice push over here as well, though. Man, Clem is not letting his foot off the gas. You've poked the bear, Elazer. Game number 1 and 2 were excellent. Game number 3 and 4, though, have been amazing for the Terran. If this would have been a best-of-3 series, I wouldn't have minded it as much. But in a best-of-5, you really need to bring a variety of strats. And I understand the irony here, because Terran's basically doing the same thing every time, but there is some variety in some of the timings here from Clem. Especially since he's the aggressor, it works out a little bit differently, too. This sort of tempo-based play, spawning pool going down, by the way, gets shut down pretty hard when you go for... well, for example, lurkers, right? Lurkers are amazing against this sort of tempo-based army. Burrow a couple lurkers over here. Good luck trying to stim into that. Same situation over here. Same for the base in the center if, well, that one were to be up. Very difficult for Clem to actually push around, but it seems like Elazer wants to play the same style every single time. So look at his +2/+2 timing. This time around, he's gonna run his army, assuming the game is gonna go on for that long. But I'm afraid he's gonna be running into a Terran army that's gonna be maxed out. And I don't think that will look pretty. I might be mistaken. It depends, of course, on the fight itself and where it takes place, but I don't think that's gonna look very good. We've got a second lair, by the way. Not entirely sure as to why that is. Probably a misclick. Do have a fight over here in the middle of the map. Clem does end up losing quite a healthy chunk of units. But once again, it's Elazer on the run. Just Jimmy over there. Got to say hi inside of the main base. Queen over there, caught off guard. Yeah, Clem just playing a little tidier. I mean, don't get me wrong though. This game is by no means over. Elazer has a lot of money in the bank. He is gonna go for his attack here eventually. How much larva does he have? Quite a bit as well. This is a big push. We don't have a hive or anything coming up. More banelings coming up instead, so we're committing to this. Natural is wide open. I don't like the fact that the natural is wide open. We don't have a planetary fortress over at this base either. We got a lot more banelings just about to finish up. The question is, how much damage can Elazer deal? Clem knew that this attack was coming from a mile away. He's got +3/+3 done at this point. So his Marine Marauder, even his Ghosts, they will be able to just, well, deal with these units a lot more comfortably. Love the group of siege tanks over there. We didn't rush out the siege tanks, but the natural is still under a ton of pressure. Units are popping out of those barracks and are basically being killed for free. This was only attack wave number 1 though. Again, we don't have enough larva, man. We've got 2,000 minerals in the bank. Much like one of the previous games that we saw. That was game number 2, actually. It still ended up working out for Elazer there. But he needs to get this money down. He needs to spend all of his cash right now on Zerglings. Look at Clem's macro. Not skipping a beat. He will barely cross 100 minerals in these sort of fights, man. Constantly tapping the buttons, constantly macroing up. That is going to be a killed orbital command, or at the very least it looks like it's going to burn down. Elazer now falling behind when it comes to the amount of supply that he's got. And you know what? Despite all of the harassment, I genuinely believe that Elazer could have won this game by now if he would have been able to spend all of his money. For every 50 minerals, we could have seen two Zerglings. So we could have seen at least, like, what? 60 additional Zerglings on the battlefield? I think if that second wave came in with 60 additional Zerglings, that was YouTube math, by the way. I may have gotten something wrong. But anyways, imagine that particular fight with that many additional links. I think that would have been GG. Instead, this game has been turned upside down, and we're gonna go to the rubber match. If anything, though, that previous game was an excellent example of how powerful that push actually is. Because that game went, well, not smooth at all for Elazer. It felt to me like he was losing the entire game long. But then suddenly, at the end, he shows up with a big army. I think if he would have just hit one additional round of Queen Injects there, it would have been enough. Easy to accidentally slip up the basics, though. When you get carried away fighting, you're like, go, 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 go. Micro everywhere. You miss a round of Queen Injects, your follow-up push is not as big. Yeah. Anyways. Third command center, starport. I'm assuming we're going to see a tech lab, Hellions. Probably also Banshees. Zerg's going link speed. Nice catch right over down that Reaper. He'll be going into, I think a lair at 4:30. A Baning Nest on the back of this. Oh my god. Insane stuff. So what must have been their vetoes then? Altitude and Royal Blood then, I guess? No altitude, guys. And I've noticed some of you disagree. I think altitude is by far the worst map in the current map pool. Not a fan of altitude. It's just way too big. Anyways, a lot of you apparently are fans of altitude. Is it because of the falling snow though, or is it actually because of the map layout? Because I do agree, the snow is cool. I think the map layout, oh, the whole center of that map feels pointless. I actually really like Neo-Humanity. Neo-Humanity may actually be my favorite map in the map pool. I know the programmers don't really like it that much because it's so strange. The high-yield Vespian Geyser over here, and the center bit, and the lanes in the top and the bottom, but I think it's pretty. Plus, you know, the layout is excellent. No snow though, so, you know, -1 point. Cloaking Field, by the way, here once again. Barracks number 2 and 3. Command center is going to be flying down towards the low ground. Lair starts up. Baling Nest will be coming up very soon. We're going to be seeing Evo Chambers on the back of this. It's a rinse and a repeat. I think Clem, sorry, Elazer at this point though, is looking at this series like, you know what, I really could have had it, right? Like, it wasn't the strategy. It wasn't the strategy. My defense was subpar in the previous game, and then I just had too much money in the bank. Could have been a win. With cleaner defense and a little bit better macro, it wasn't the strategy itself, it was the execution of it. So I do believe we're gonna see him do literally the exact same thing once again. There's the NG base. No barracks 4 and 5. Those will probably be coming up shortly. Stamina is a very real thing right now as well. When you're playing a series like this for however long it's been, probably about an hour, it can be easy to start slipping up as well. Margin for error is still very thin. Ooh, okay. This unit is gonna be called the Mutalisk. Crazy stuff. Unheard of. Never seen before, at least in this series. Spire will be fully erected in the main base soon. Sorry. I had to increase my own vocabulary, no? It is an interesting shape after all. These Banshees though are going to town right now. 6 drones, not bad at all. Creep spread once again looking solid. Elazer seems to have 2 control groups for his queens. A lot of the top tier pros seem to like to have 3 of them. Elazer apparently a little different, although maybe not. He might have 3 as well. Goes for the center base next, together with the one over here on the right side. Okay, so he's gonna be saving up a whole lot of gas to try and make as many mutas as possible. Here comes Clem though. Yeah, always attacking ever so slightly before these upgrades are actually done. He doesn't want to engage yet, he just wants to clear out some of the creep. Bailing speed is gonna be very far behind if you're gonna go for a Spire play like this. I'm actually not a fan of this of this Bailing speed timing here. Because that Bailing speed could have started up, it could have finished by now. If we're gonna make it before we make mutas, why not just make it sooner? Because we were sitting on the money there for quite a while. I thought he was purposely not starting it to, you know, grab another muta and a half. But this can now actually be kind of dangerous. Okay. We'll probably see the Mutas go straight across the map. No, we're gonna go after the siege tank. Okay, we're gonna try and clean up this army. That's an interesting one. This is the first time that Clem sees the Mutas. Oh, this choke point over here is insane, though. Okay, eventually it all does go down. Don't lose your Mutas. That choke point was amazing there for Clem. Excellent work, baiting his opponent away off creep into that choke point. Look at that cost efficiency. 50 Zerglings have already gone down. 4 Hellions also did fall, but considering the economies right now at this stage in the game, I actually don't mind that at all for Clem. He doesn't either. He wasn't planning on actually going for an all-out attack right now, but he looked at that. He's like, you know what? I think I allow myself to use the all army hotkey and just send everything that I've got towards the other side of the map. This series, we've got another one. It started off with a 2-0 lead for our Zerg, but there can only be one winner, and that winner, he is Clem.